is a round where you can take all your troubles and just punch them in the face, because your starting party is forced 3 black belts and a red mage. So there will be a lot of punching going on tonight. How you doing tonight, Nits?
I'm doing all right. Looking forward to it. Stage 5's been fun because it's a throwback to the good old-fashioned defeat chaos goal that we haven't seen since the beginning of the league and since the tournament before that. And I think everybody likes it when you finish the game by finishing the game, if you know what I mean. So you're going to see all the dungeons, people progressing through. There's going to be a bit of a grind. It's a bit of a throwback to how you had to do it back in the day. So the most important things to note, the Ice Cave and Ordeals are not incentivized, so those are a risky play if people choose to go there, and we're underway, so let's have a look here.
Heal 2 in the White Magic Shop, that's pretty good. Harm 3, not so much. Warp at level 1 is going to be very valuable. Only Ice level 1, so Heal 2, Harm 3, Warp, they're an okay selection. Warp is usually nicer to have it a higher level where it's still valuable, like a 3 or a 4, and get that AoE at the early levels, but
cheap chain armor for the red mage will give you that nice boost of tankiness that you look forward to.
And interesting that Sforzando's going straight for Garland. He finds some spiders with gaze first. You see
the Garland play. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, you see a different look for Czar's streams, because he likes to play with all of the fun % flags on, so he'll have things like palette swaps, and spiders have damage poison, so this is not a nice Temple of Fiends. Sforzando hadn't even saved yet, so he's got to remake his party as a result.
Oh, he's going to do the old quick ABCD now. Where did those names go when you're in a rush? That's a bit of a mistake for him, unfortunately. I'm surprised that anyone is tackling the Temple of Fiends when you got the early bridge. There's no high-level magic. That's an unnecessary risk, in my opinion. Sar agrees with me. He's heading straight for Provoca.
You still have the possibility of TNT, and you still have the possibility of some spellcasting item being here. So, that, and it's also usually an easy level if you can kill Garland, but there are not really any tools to kill Garland with right now. And that kind of more than anything is to me what would steer me away. Let's check out the magic in Provoca. But Fuchsia is going to give us a look at the Garland battle.
We got Zap and Provoca. That'll hopefully get the job done. AoE, time-based instant death.
Head Brack, I didn't see that for sale. That does make a difference for fighting Garland, and that's good enough to get some levels with as well.
All right, Sar's going straight for the Pirates. He's going to brack them one at a time. See, I thought he might zap them, but he doesn't have the levels, I think, to even cast it.
In that case, I might go fight try and find an ogre to get a level with.
Yeah, taking on the Pirates without any AoE when you could have with just one single level seems you're inviting unnecessary delays here. But we'll see how it goes.
Well, everything is a decision and everything is a gamble. Sometimes ones will work out better than others. But so far, nothing nasty from these Pirates.
No, he did have a level, so he would have had a level 2 cast. Maybe he didn't have the money for the spell, something like that, probably more likely.
Again, an ogre would probably do the job. But hey, that's my meme. That's starting to be my meme, as I think the ogres are an underrated early source. Speaking of the Temple of Fiends, Artea picks that up. Said.
I mean, everybody's going to come back here, but it's nice to know it ahead of time. It really lets you, you can sort of put your mind at ease. You don't have to worry about it. You know it's there now.
Yeah, you know it's there, and as long as you get out with it, you know you have it. But
that's not what happened.
Artea wiped to Garland, so he doesn't have it.
And Sar's got the pirates down. He's got the ship, and we've got affordable pures, reasonably priced tents.
On the expensive side, so your money won't go very far in this early game. Now Artea's taking a fight against some imps. I don't think he was inclined to do this earlier, but now he's trying to get some levels. I don't think a 5-pack's going to get you to level 2. I may be wrong. With no flat bonus, these don't carry as far as you might see in other flags. But yeah, it's enough.
And we got Cure 2, level 2, or sorry, I believe it was Cure 4 I saw in level 2 White Magic, so that's alright.
Indeed, Cure 4, you're quite happy to see that at a spot where the Red Mage is going to be able to learn it.
Yeah, Red Mage should have access to all the level 2 spells, so it's easy to remember that one. And there's no cure like Cure 4. It instantly to full health, it doesn't ever let you down, and it even cures paralysis.
Yeah, second best healing spell in the game behind Life 2.
Ah, but you can use it in battle.
When Brack is all you have, you might as well make good use of it. Czar is doing just that, as he's able to get to Matoya's. This is our first look at the treasures here. A pro ring is good, and a little bit of gold isn't bad.
Yeah. And Sforzando has his way with the pirates. He had the money for Zap, so he just zapped him into oblivion, and that was that.
Well, that'll do it. Fuchsia looks to be down to the 2-man strats. It will not be uncommon at all to see runners in this round drop some of their party members so that the experience from encounters is divided among fewer people. In fact, I think for most runners, you'll at least see them drop to a 3-man team for most of the game, and then you're going to see others who are going to try and 2-man it the whole way.
Yeah, the heart and soul of Final Fantasy Randomizer in Races to Chaos are knowing exactly how many of your party members to level and to what levels. I think that's the place where the top level players grind out the most of a time advantage over the people that trail them, is just that intuition of how many party members do I need and what level do they need to be. Artea is a champion at that. He's usually the first person to TOFR, but he's not always the winner because sometimes he's a little too lean in his party. We'll see if that happens again tonight.
So off stream, just saw the angry imps have cremate, so that'll be an unpleasant encounter if you get them. We haven't seen that on stream too much. This is them for Czar.
Ooh, that's them. The Grumps with cremate. Extra grumpy.
One of those fun percent flags is you can get some amusing names. That being one of them.
Yeah,
Czar did not get Commentator's Curse. A Commentator's Curse would be if I said nobody had gotten it yet. I said somebody did get it. Yeah, he got Zaranjeed, is what he did.
Yeah, we like to joke that when you set all the flags, the shuffling the skills, the shuffling the spells, the shuffling the scripts, that's, if you want imps with nuke, that's how you get imps with nuke. But we didn't get imps with nuke. We got gray imps or with cremate, but it's just as bad.
Although I did roll this thing, so Czar can blame me. That is fair.
Somebody had to roll it. It's just as likely anybody else would have rolled the same seed.
Kaizakos, that's a nice find for Artea. I wonder if this was the first fight or not, but apparently he doesn't have an AoE to kill them with.
Still no zap
That's a shame.
for his red mage, yeah.
Not sure if that's because he wants to save money or if he wants to get spells in a specific spot, so he's waiting. Or maybe he just doesn't have enough money yet because he's not gotten levels. But Fuchsia's going to take on these same Kaizakos with Zap and get a couple of them down, possibly.
Just one. Zap's time elemental, so nobody resists it except Chaos, which is good. But it's pretty low accuracy, and that's bad. So you gotta roll the dice, literally, every time you cast a thing, but it can get the job done.
Early game, these instant death spells are going to work pretty good because the magic defense is lower. It trails off as you get higher. So that's why they're less preferable than, say, your damage spells, which are a little more guaranteed. But when all you have is a hammer,
when all you have is an area of effect instant death time elemental spell. Everything looks like a tachyon. I don't know.
Stun touch ogres, so forget what I said about them being underrated seed. I think we've just had Salty Fry as the first one to turn in the TNT. We have 5 runners going off stream here.
Yeah, it's a good turnout in the league race tonight. Let's walk through who we've got on stream. So Tsar is one of the administrators of the league and perennial fan favorite. He's in the middle of a giant 12-hour gaming marathon of his own, so it's fun to pull that community right into the stream along with us. So I hope they're enjoying the ride. In the bottom left corner, we've got Sforzando. He's got very good standing in the league, but his current stage time is one of his worst ones. So I know he's really pushing to try to stay near the top of the pack. Artea in the top right corner has a 0 in every other stage, but hasn't finished a race that I know of in stage 5, so has a full chaos point to his name right now that he's definitely looking to reduce. And Fuchsia Fantasy is also amongst the top of the pack as far as the race standings go, but not in the same category as Sforzando and Artea.
Yeah, when you talk the most to gain in tonight's race, we're seeing 2 of those right here as we see a level 3 nuke is available. That's quite a nice find.
I sort of misspoke with Fuchsia. To be fair, his total score is only 0.15, so he's actually sitting in 6th and has a 0 at the stage. I was mixing him up with his numbers up with somebody else, so excuse me there. Fuchsia's actually very much in the top of the pack.
Yeah, Fuchsia, though, doesn't have anything to gain other than playing defense. He can cause other people to get worse scores by pulling off the win. Level 4 exit and level 4 heal 3. So far, the spacing on this magic has been pretty good. Ice 3 at level 4. That's fantastic. No, don't get Bane. Get Ice 3. Thank you, Czar. No, he can't hear me. He just realized that after he looked at it.
And when you talk about playing defense, never more is there a better time than right now, where an Artea, who has been dominant throughout this league, all of a sudden is sitting with a whole chaos point, and there's only a few races left in stage 5. So this is a great time to try and play that defense.
Yeah, if Artea wins, he immediately goes to a 3-way tie atop the standings, which is currently Minochi and Tristal in Club 0. Artea has to win or finish within 1% in order to maintain his status there. So a lot on the line for him tonight. Sforzando, a win I think would move him up to 3rd place, so quite a bit for him to gain. No, I'm sorry, 4th place, because Sho would be in 3rd with his 0.01. So if you're going to play with the fun percent, you better figure out what the names of things are, because that can get confusing. The Ruraroos are, in fact, just wolves.
And the palette shuffling that he sometimes turns on, I think he's got that on tonight too, can be extra confusing, because there are plenty of monsters that are just palette shuffles of one another. And if you start changing the names and the palettes, you got to pay attention to make sure you know who you're fighting.
Yeah, and in instances where you'll have similar formations, like these geists and ghouls, sometimes knowing what formations they appear in are the only way you're really going to differentiate which one's which. And when you start seeing skills and spells and things like that, that can become very important. Looks like Czar is going to head to the Earth Cave for an early dive of that. Not sure if he was able to pick up Exit yet or not, which makes this a nicer play if you do. And hopefully I said Fuchsia because that's the player who's doing this, and now I'm doubting myself that I said that. But Fuchsia giving us the look at Earth Cave.
I'll just wink and nod. You might not have. No one needs to know.
Nothing in the first chest. A couple players have turned in the TNT now. Frosters in Melmond. Zalnop is sailing through the world. Zarnix just turned in the TNT. I looked away and didn't see those 2 treasure chests. Anything exciting?
I was looking away myself, just making check on the magic shops in Elfland. Exit at level 4, Ice 3 on the black side.
Fade at level 5. This is a pretty nice magic seed for things being spaced out.
Was it
Jet says
Red
golden
Mage
heal.
learnable?
Now, heal helmet is actually quite valuable in the early game. It won't be so much later on, but early on they can definitely be useful.
2,300 for silver bracelets in Melmond as well.
A little expensive starting off. You'll soon be able to afford that, but probably right at this moment that's going to be a stretch.
Yeah, sorted enough for one. Picked one up right there. And now it looks like he's going to do the Earth Dive that you called out earlier.
Well, see, I was just reading Czar's mind, and I knew what he was going to do.
See, I like the Earth Dive for Fuchsia, because we were just talking about, is Fuchsia playing defense against Artea? Because that's your best bet right now for someone in his place in the standings. And what does Artea love to do? The Earth Dive. So if you can do it ahead of him, then that's exactly the kind of play that's going to keep you neck and neck with Artea, give you a better chance to beat him.
Of course, no guarantee that is what Artea will do. Sometimes he'll change it up. He might go to the Marsh Cave, although he probably would have already done that if he was going to. He might go to Ordeals. He likes to be a little unpredictable with his routing.
He does, but he's notorious for the Earth Dive, and I've called it now. So either I'm willing to go down with my ship if he doesn't do it.
Czar's also checking the first floor of Earth Cave.
And as if he's listening to me, he sets sail.
Okay, these spiders with dark, and I think their next ability is poison, so it's a 1 in 3 chance. Lit is a spell, not an ability, so... You're facing 2 1 in 3 chances of wiping your party right now. That's heal to another spell. They have quite the list.
He's having a devil of a time trying to get away here.
Fire 2! That is a lot of spells!
Yeah, he's had enough of that. As finally resets out of there.
The Fire 2 is deep in the list, so that's probably not going to come up very often. I'm much more scared of the Poison, because that's a 1 in 3 chance of killing you. We've got Dueling Peds up on screen. Are they the first encounter? That'd be sweet.
Anything that shaves time off the grind is always sweet.
Well, if you're able to nuke Peds, the first encounter outside Crescent Lake, then we're going to be here for a little bit.
Yeah, if you're new to the Final Fantasy Randomizer, you're thinking to yourself, what is the first encounter? I thought they were random. There's sort of a script that, depending on where you are in the world and how many encounters you've been in since the game has been first turned on, you have a knowledge of exactly what you're going to run into. And there's a few different sort of sequences that the game can be in. And once you've memorized those, and many of the players here know them very well, you can assume that if you fight Peds, you can save, reset the game, by which I mean power off and back on, a hard reset of the game, and you can fight Peds again right away. So that's what we're talking about when we say the first encounter.
Yeah, if you just picture an NES in your mind, and turn off the power button and turn the game back on, that's a hard reset. And you will always get the first encounter the same wherever you are off of a hard reset. Off of a soft reset, which is the reset button to the right of the power button, that will not reset the encounter table, so you can reset out of one fight and go on to the next encounter. Works great for the overworld, not always so nice for dungeons, but can be very nice for dungeons.
Yeah, so if you know how many steps there were before the very first encounter when you started playing the game, you can, if it's a long run, for example, people will also take advantage of that by using hard resets and saving with tents to traverse the overworld with very few encounters, or none at all if they so choose.
And sometimes you do it the other way around. You know that in certain parts of the world, that first encounter is quite nice for experience and easy enough to beat, so you want to force that fight instead. Like I was speculating might be the case with the Peds, but it looks like they're not the first encounter here. So houses for sale here, that's probably going to be fairly important if you're going to go to the volcano at a low level, because you can go in, check treasures, leave, get your magic points back, go back in again at a little more reasonable level.
Yeah. Artea's strategy of taking things on quick with these low-level parties is starting to bite him now. He really doesn't have a lot to deal with these Peds. He's kind of got his fingers fully crossed that this zap is going to do it.
It should have a fairly decent chance. But if they kill your red mage, that's a different story.
Yeah, the level 3 nuke's a much better option if you have the levels to cast it. I don't think Artea made it to Elfland to buy it, though.
Boy, that'd be very unfortunate to miss out on. Probably could have brack with just a single one.
Yeah, if you're doing the Pede grind, though, you're going to be near Crescent Lake. Whichever encounter it does wind up being in the table, so you can pop back into that inn to save all day and all night. So you don't have to worry too much about the charges or what level it is. But not having the spell, it's not going to work.
3 levels off that one fight for Artea. That's the strength of fighting these Peds.
Yeah, that kind of thing wasn't possible in the original game. That's one of the many bug fixes, if you will, that the Final Fantasy randomizer adds to the classic game, is that you can gain multiple levels in a single fight. It's a small convenience, really, because in the original game you would have just gained 1 level at a time until you were caught up. But it's nice.
Well, also, one of the features that's available in the randomizer is the bonus experience, which in this round they're getting 4 times bonus experience, so these Peds are worth more than they would have been in the original game. You wouldn't be able to get that much experience.
Yeah, it wasn't really a problem in the original game unless you were somehow severely underleveled and defeated something that was worth a ton of experience to get more than 1 level.
Yeah, like it's probably possible with 4 gas dragons. Something like that that'd just be worth a ton of experience. Now level 12 for Fuchsia, this is actually a bit nicer, and it looks like he's determined these fires are a good thing to kill. This wouldn't be my preferred choice to kill them, though. When I say that, there's a different tile on this same floor where you can fight fires all you want, but not have a chance at a random encounter. He is facing one here. You can get one when he walks up.
Curious choice there.
How many houses does he have? He's got 1 more left, so he could keep getting some more experience, then go on if he wanted to.
Yeah, it's with a 2-person party, you want to have a lot of levels if you're going to be seriously contemplating taking on carry. Although you can clear like a good chunk of this dungeon and then escape quickly or use exit or warp, whatever you got to get out of here. And then it doesn't take too long to sprint all the way down to carry if you want to just save outside and run all the way to the bottom.
Yeah, and Artea has been forcing these Peds, so he's up to level 12 now, which is pretty reasonable. But just the 2 party members, though, he's probably want to go higher. The floater has been located by Fuchsia in the, what do we call this, the armory?
Yeah, everybody's favorite, Opal Bracelet in there. And Artea did have nuke, he just, I don't think, had the levels to cast it before, so running very lean at the beginning, as it were.
Yeah, when Pete think that, whoa, we got the slab here, too. And the tail, this room is loaded.
You might see that depending on what exactly is available for the red wizard at levels 5 and 6 and so on. There were some good spells there, I think. It's worth considering.
Yeah, we've seen Life 2 at level 6. I don't know the slots if that's going to be learnable, but after leveling up a black belt, I would sure turn in the tail and find out.
Yeah. The important thing is leveling up first, as you said, because, again, the The promoted black belt, the master, actually gains magic defense slower when leveling up than the black belt does, and only 1 magic defense per level instead of 4. So it's significantly worse. It's kind of sad that the promoted black belt is, in fact, inferior to the regular black belt, which is why you would hesitate promoting.
Okay, so the fires are a little less friendly than we thought because they have Squint, but so far Fuchsia is able to do just fine. I believe the Pro Ring does help against that, but does he have 2 of them? I'm not sure if he has 2 or just 1, but he's continuing to press his luck against these fires.
Yeah, the black belt's starting to gain the levels now to be able to kill one, which really makes things safer, especially if you only end up fighting one.
So this will be his last house. And he's going to leave. Well, he does have the floater, so he can turn that in. And I mean, what are the odds that... No, never mind. I was going to say, what are the odds that Crown is here, too?
Volcano seems to be a popular choice. Sar and Sforzando also look like they're going to pillage the place. Well, Sforzando in there right now, but as far as Sar seems to be on his way, too.
Yeah, off stream, I see that Zarnax is actually in Ordeal, so we do have some route divergence going on.
You should have a little change of heart. I swear we saw him exit out and use a house and leave, and now he's back.
He started sailing onto the river, then he quickly reset. So maybe he was just burning an encounter before going back in.
That's exactly what he was doing.
Be with you in one moment. I'm watching the Ordeals chests. And looks like a light axe was the highlight, so that's not very good.
No, I caution people away from ordeals in the Ice Cave when they're not incentivized, because there's no guarantees that there's going to be anything of worth. There's no fiend there that you have to defeat. It could be a huge waste of time. It could be a huge success, but it's more likely not to be when they're not incentivized.
So, meanwhile, one of the things you really have to respect about Artea's playability is the level he's able to just execute the game at, because you think about him being at a lower level, taking all the wipes that he did, and here he is in the volcano, right in the thick of it with most of the runners.
Yeah, and I think he's doing something that people might not realize right away, because when you think black belt and you think red mage, which one's squishier? You're going to say, well, the black belt's probably tougher. But the truth is, especially at the very beginning, the red mage can equip the better armor, the chain right off the bat, and we saw him have the red mage up there the whole time. So just taking advantage of little differences like that, where the red mage is actually tankier than the black belt for a while, is part of the way he takes advantage of little things.
Less hit points, though, for the mage, and when you're in that first spot, you're going to get hit more, and you might wipe out to a gray worm, but... Maybe
just
that was all part of Artea's plan, because he doesn't
no,
seem to mind.
I just commentated and cursed him good, didn't I? Like, I just talked about how brilliant it was that he had the red mage in the first slot and he gets killed by the very next thing. That's my fault. Nothing he can do about that.
That might have just been a case of he wanted to test the strength of the worms, because they are something that can be a fallback grind point. He hasn't seen the Agamas yet, but it's usually good to know before you get there what other options you have. And Fires with Squint isn't the most inviting thing to try and get a bunch of levels from. Looks like Sforzando is leaving the volcano, though. And Fuchsia has lost a red mage, so just trying to punch through these bulls.
Yeah. That black belt's high enough level now that it can defeat them. The bulls can't even seem to scratch him, so not worried.
So probably a good time to mention what they actually must find from the treasure chest. They must find TNT, which Robert did, obviously. You must find the floater, as we did. You must find the slab, and you must find the crown. those are the things that will be in a treasure chest that you must find in order to complete a game.
And if you're wondering why, the TNT blows the canal, as we just saw. The slab allows Dr. Un to teach you Leifanish to travel to the town of Lefane and receives a chime from a local there who wants to help you out. The chime unlocks the Mirage Tower. And then the slab, or pardon me, not the slab, I just said the slab. The crown is handed to the kindly old king of the Northwest Castle, who holds a deep, dark secret. It's really Astos in disguise. And upon
Spoilers, man!
I'm sorry, I'm spoiling it. You get the crystal, you give it to Matoya, she gives you the herbs, which you take to the elf prince to resuscitate him, who gives you the mystic key, which unlocks one of the doors in the Temple of Fiends Revisited, amongst many other places.
Not the kindliest Agamas you're ever going to see. They're hitting a bunch, poison touch, and oh, by the way, they have a good amount of hit points.
Yeah, the poison touch is more of a nuisance than anything.
That's a lot of menuing time to go back in, and if you're going to pure after every single fight. So when you think about a grind, it's not even so much the experience you get from it, it's what kind of levels you're able to get in what time frame. And that poison touch can slow you down so much that it makes it not worth it.
I would probably just ignore the poison. It's going to do like 2 damage a turn and 1 damage a step, but I don't think that's going to be too big of a deal.
We'll see what Fuchsia decides, but they're also hitting pretty hard.
Yeah, Fuchsia gave up on the grind long ago. He went down to the floor below. I think he's going to check the red Ds.
Yeah, no harm in that, but the other thing that happens with these black belts is you have to check the armor screen after every level up, if they're not holding a weapon asterisk. But you do that in order to get the armor to correctly calculate, and it looks like a high evasion red dragon, so run away, run away, run away.
That's bad news, yeah. Forget about that.
He actually did seem to be hitting that hard, though. So here is a tough call for Fuchsia now, because you're probably not strong enough to kill Carrie.
Yeah, I don't think you can realistically take on Carrie unless you just want to die. You have such... Wow, that's
he
not
reset, which was not what I was expecting. But if he's got everything saved, which I believe he does, then he'll be able to get the airship like Sforzando has.
Yeah, I think he picked up the knowledge that there was nothing else in there that he was super concerned with. And, like you said, go get the airship.
And you mentioned earlier that it really doesn't take that long to get to Carrie. Any of these dungeons, when you're in go mode, don't take that long to get through. Earth Cave is honestly probably the worst of them, and even that's not that long.
And Fire has tons of floors that are mostly fire lava tiles that you can just sprint across without getting in any fights at all. So it's probably the quickest.
Alright, and we are looking for Crown, Artea, and Sforzando. Not quite high-fiving, but maybe at some points through these islands as they check for treasure. And when you save, as Sforzando did, if you don't like what you find in here, you can just reset back to the save point and save your walk out.
Sar spelunking the ice cave finds nothing much so far.
Banesword is something I'm going to walk out, personally, and it looks like Sforzando agrees with me, so of course he's right. Just kidding. Well, I think he is, but anyhow. Artea, don't block the dragon. Cuts your odds, I guess, by 1/3 that the dragon was going to move out of the way by standing with it. Sometimes you just got to give those NPCs space.
Fuchsia pops by Sarda to pick up the rod. One of the settings in the randomizer that's generally turned on is something called Early Rod, which allows Sarda to hand it to you even if you haven't previously killed the vampire. It saves time because we don't make people go down, kill the vampire, come back out, and go talk to Sarda. At the end of the day, the quest to head down and kill the vampire is usually... like, if you force people to do it, it's mostly a time sink. Some of the enemies on the way can be dangerous, like the wizards and so on, but in the interest of time, we allow that to go on.
So looking a little bit at the possibilities here, if Czar is able to find the crown in here, that's going to be pretty big. He could either take the crown bait or go to Volcano next, which would be the better play. And if he does that, he's going to be the first in go mode, and having gotten the crown from a place probably not many people are going to fish it out of just yet. So if he does get crown here, that could be big for him. Because also, I don't see anybody else who's gone to the ice cave. So anytime you do something that's unique, you've given yourself a chance.
And Sforzando finds reasonably priced pro rings for $24.75 in Gaia. Probably kit out with those if he needs any.
And a lazy bottle sighting. Lazy meaning it's in the same location as you would talk to the fairy. Much like when we say lazy TNT, we're talking about it being in the dwarf cave.
Yeah, it's always sort of an eye-rolling moment. The idea being, like, why didn't the dwarves just blow up the canal already if the TNT was like 10 steps away from Narek, something like that?
And Artea is now in the waterfall, which again is a chance to see something we haven't seen yet. And part of what makes Artea is getting some efficiency out of time. So he was able to get through the early levels on low levels, and then spent his time leveling up against the Peds, which were much more efficient. Oxyale obtained for Sforzando means he can now do the Sea Shrine anytime he pleases.
Sar runs into a bit of trouble here with trance cockatrices that have trying to put his party to sleep. Red Mage lost a turn, so he didn't get off his spell.
So an interesting thing has happened off stream. Len the cat just turned in the tail. And he does... I don't think there's any possibility he's already done a level grade. So he's choosing to give up the magic defense that the Black Belt would get for the sake of the spells that the Red Wizard will get. That is an interesting decision.
Yeah, there's just a handful of spells in the middle levels that the Red Wizard can cast that the Red Mage can't. And very little in the way of gear that you can equip differently between the two.
So it looks like Czar found Toxic in the ice cave.
He's going to give it another go. Must have liked something in there that he found.
Or there's just like 3 treasure chests he didn't get to, and it really doesn't take that long to get back to them. Because when you're skipping everything else, he can just walk into the first trap and take that warp. He can bypass all the others and walk back to where he wants to be. Whenever you're able to cut stuff off of the ice cave, again, it tends to be pretty quick. But
So
he's just not seeing any encounters he likes at all.
Artea ran back and stepped on the trap tile here in the waterfall room instead of maybe warping out.
Could have been intentional. Burn a couple nukes on that.
Could be. That's one of those ones where I like to ask him, because it was a single grind. He just fought it once and then warped out. So it was like, was it to use up one more nuke for a little bit of EXP, or was it he just forgot to? Because we all make mistakes, even if that was part of his plan. I'm curious. He would, he'll tell you.
Meridian bringing up in chat that the Red Wizard can also use a few pieces of equipment, including the Bane Sword, but I think he'll use the Ice Sword over the Bane Sword. I think Bane Sword is just there to be an item.
Yeah, and the Sun Sword, which you can use, is better than the defense, too. The defense you might use to cast Ruse on yourself, but you don't need to be able to equip it to do that. So it's curious that the defense is a after promotion weapon, but the Sun Sword isn't.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit before game. I think certain things were drawn up, maybe planning to do it one way, but then when you actually rolled it out into the game, it ended up being something else for reasons. I have a theory that those ports to nowhere were actually intended to be near towns that didn't get included in the game. But that's just a theory, and I can't prove it.
Maybe we can get Nasir to do an AMA someday. And like you said, Star's obviously checking the last few chests, because here he is jogging right past the rooms that he was in just moments ago, so he obviously doesn't care about anything in any of those chests.
Yeah, and again, this still has the potential to pay off if Crown happens to be here. It only has to be in one.
Yep. When you roll the dice with a dungeon like this that isn't incentivized and find something in it, that's going to give you a boost, because other people aren't going to probably come here for quite a while. And here's the... Oh, he gets away that time. That was good. That was the very same encounter that nauseated him just before.
He finds the ruby, which is not required in this seed. Well, we know that. He actually doesn't know that yet.
I hope that doesn't trick him into going all the way over there. I hope he checks Volcano next, because it's nearby.
That would be the more normal play. The other thing he could do here is do a level grind against the eye, and that may have been part of the intention all along. Though he should have some sword for the... I guess he hasn't been anywhere yet where he could get a sword for the red mage.
He doesn't have any junk weapon he can give him?
Well, I mean, he's got Brack. What do you need a sword for?
When you run out of Brack. Which will be a while. He's got a few more charges.
Apparently, we've lost one of our entrants. Bratster was had business to attend to and couldn't really focus on the race, so he is withdrawn. That just gives us 4 runners off stream. Zarnex is checking the Dragon Islands. Looks like Salty Fry has found a grind point against the zombie dragons. Len is up in Gaia. And Zaunap is in a menu, so I have no idea where he is. He's in Elfland.
Yeah, one of the nice things about the Ice Cave and Ordeals, even if they aren't incentivized, is that they both have a pretty juicy trap tile right at the end. So at least you can grind that. In the case of Ordeals, it's an easy escape after, but even in an Ice Cave, it's a little more perilous, because you fall down, and if you've got Warper exit, it's no big deal, and I think he does. So. But
well, that's a very interesting point being brought up to us in chat, which is Salty is grinding at the same location that won him a race. So, if the zombie dragons are easy enough, they're pretty good experience. There is something to be said for that. And he's already got floaters, so it's just a search for crown. You know you're going to need a certain amount of levels with the black belt. It becomes this question of how many do you need. 32 is probably going to be the minimum, but if you're just two-man stratted, then 42 looks a lot more compelling.
yeah, I think 32 with just one BB is asking for trouble. It could technically work, but you have to get lucky like one too many times.
If you were doing something like 232 black belts or a 32 and a 21, maybe. But if you're planning to just two-man it, then I think 42 is probably what you want to be at. Certainly for the last 3 bosses, if nothing else.
These zombies are pretty beefy, but I mean, there's only so many nukes they can stand up to.
Yeah, it'd be a little unusual if they survived through 2 nukes.
Yeah,
But it's annoying when they survive 1.
I am always partial to the level as you go thing, because over a long period of time, taking encounters instead of running from them has a better return on investment, because yeah, you're at least gaining something every step of the way. Now, if you can run right away like that, and it's a fight that's not worth that much EXP, sure, but when it's the good ones, Yeah, take the fight.
And part of that is going to depend where you do it. I mean, the imps are just not going to be worth a lot. Now, if you're playing with a flat bonus on top of your experience bonus, then that's what's going to make imps look a lot more compelling and a lot more friendly to getting early levels against. But by the time you're level 4, the imps just aren't going to be valuable anymore. On the other hand, beads are going to be valuable well into the 20s. And if you're wondering about the Agamas, they're not so much worth the experience, but it's the idea that you can fight them in succession with no other encounters in between that makes this one of the preferred spots for leveling in the game.
And it's conveniently placed where they're not usually too hard, and once you do that grind, you can often go down and kill carry too to get out of jail here if you don't have orb or exit yet. It's a place that people often end up quite early in the game, so it's at the confluence of a lot of good reasons.
And then the question becomes, how much do you force it? Does Forsando continue to force this fight, or does he pull off at some point? Question in chat, anything horrible today? Well, let's see. We had the Angry Imps had Cremate. Czar ran into Toxic somewhere here in the Earth Cave. I think it was against one of the mummy types. I think it was the mummies. Or possibly wizard mummies. Oh, I love what Artea is doing right now. He's already got the cube. He picked up the slab. So he's actually going to go to Sky Castle next.
It's an
Mad Ponies apparently had Blaze. That's pretty awful.
It's an EXP like trove, the Sky Castle. If you can be selective about who you take down, like the vampires and stuff, you can get so much EXP while you're clearing out the treasures here, especially in Mirage.
Yeah, the Chimeras are going to be on the lower side. No comment. The Chimeras are going to be on the lower side, but your average experience encounter in Sky Castle is going to be higher than any other dungeon but Temple of Fiends, so as far as a level as you go, this is a much better place to be.
And I mean, if you've got the Cure 4 charges, you don't have to like plan on beating it. Like, I don't think he's got the levels with the 2-man party right now to seriously contemplate that. Maybe he pulls it off, but I'm thinking more just blow away who you can with nuke, exit out when you got to, and take advantage of the speedy grind.
Also, these first 2 levels have a lot of treasure chests, so it's a chance to potentially find Crown at a faster rate. That doesn't sound right when I say it. I think there's more treasure chests here than Sea Shrine, so that would mean there's a greater chance of finding the crown. Plus, with all the treasure chests condensed as they are, you can check them faster.
And you can find 399 gold, then 1 gold, then 1 more gold. And it all goes to naught. But he's still got more to check out. So far, it's a bust, though.
Hey, only one of these has to have the crown.
Absolutely.
And then it's game on. And only one of them has to have the Masamune, and then you don't feel like you wasted your time.
Oh, well, they can't all be winners. I mean, people often talk about adding more different items into the pool or playing around with removing some of the trash. And some of the upcoming features of the randomizer might play with that, but they can't all be winners. They have to have the garbage chest, otherwise it doesn't make it as fun when you find the good stuff.
So it looks like Sforsando's decision has been to roll with the poison and not necessarily heal it. Which is going to save you some menuing time, but also that is going to add up with all those steps and turns, because the Agamas have enough HP that you're taking extra rounds, you're taking extra steps.
Also, the damage it does to your mental health listening to that horrible screech.
Hey, you can always mute your speakers.
Yeah, that's a pro-level strategy right there.
I come up with them every once in a while.
Poison Agama grind got you down? Bro, shut your speakers off. Grind in silence.
Pull up a music playlist on your phone. Jam to it. Whatever makes you happy. So Artea onto the second floor of Mirage Tower. Found a ribbon. That's going to be a well fight.
Yeah, that's good stuff. You basically need a couple of those if you're doing two-man. You got to find two, I think.
I don't think you're even going to consider going to Temple of Fiends without at least one ribbon. Scorch for the Catman, but once you've leveled up, these things become a lot less threatening. You get more magic defense and more hit points, and it just becomes a lot nicer.
All right,
Mermaid floor for Fuchsia.
Yep, let's see what we got here.
Okay, well, you watch that. I'll kind of keep an eye on what Artea's up to. Theoretically, we'll see it all. Real quickly off stream, Zaunup is in the Ice Cave. Salty is back in Elfland. Len just picked up the Chime, and Zarnex is translating the slab.
There's the crown with the mermaids. Well, it all pays off.
Fuchsia is going to be our first runner into Go mode. He now doesn't need more chests, but I don't think he has a ribbon yet. So there's probably still going to be a fair amount of treasure checking for him.
Yeah, I didn't see him check the around the world room there where you wrap around, where the slab is in vanilla. So I don't know if he was just in a hurry to get out of there or if I missed it.
Could have been either way. Usually it's best to do one of the extremes and then go finish on the other so that you can exit out when you're done instead of walking to two extremes. And I'm not sure which one he did. And he could have just made the decision for time saves, but he's our first runner into Go mode. Artea is going to take a couple levels against this blue dragon, which is a placed fight, and this is a very safe one. So if you find out he's paper, then he's an okay amount of experience and free with no other encounters.
Yeah, looks like he rolled some low HP, so it's a great choice to grind here. I know that Sar loves that grind in particular. I've seen him grind many a level on that Blue D. We'll see if he does that when he gets there too.
So everything I said about the Sky Castle having more treasure chests and being faster to check, and it's just not the case. It has the crown today.
All right, so you're gonna go.
I believe it was
trick where you make carry disappear. Sorry, go ahead.
I believe it was 1,600 experience for the two party members with the eye versus the blue dragon was 1,800 experience. So if you want to put those two grind locations into context, there you go. It's a little bit more for the blue dragon. It's just later in the game, and you have to have slab before you get here, so we don't see that spot as often.
Yeah, it's often a place that people will double back to if TOFR is too hard, because you can get there fairly quick. It's just a few floors up, and you can just grind away on the Blue D without getting in any other encounters. But yeah, first time around, usually by the time you get there, you're high enough level you don't need to.
So Artea has been finding a bunch of utility stuff. He found the white shirt, he found the defense sword, he found the Thor's hammer, and he found something else that I'm not thinking of right now. But anyways, he found a bunch of utility.
Yeah, he's really looking for the crown, which we know he's not going to get. And, well, some of the other stuff he already found. The power bonk would be a nice find, too.
And a second ribbon, too.
Oh, yes.
Testing out this fight with the Naga in the air, which looks like it's a little bit on the tough side, but this is a fight that's worth more experience than an eye, so it's usually good to know how much it takes to kill it.
Yeah, in the original game, there's not a huge correlation between how hard the enemy is and how much EXP. Some things are just wildly out of alignment. And in the randomizer, that can be even worse if something randomly rolls to be super easy or particularly challenging. So having an eye when you're going through this game for exactly what the best fights are to take is a good strategy and it pays off in the long haul if you can keep it all in your head.
And Carrie is going to be down for Sando. That's actually going to be the first orb we see on stream.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't think that he is leading all Even if we just said among this pack on stream, with that being the first orb lit, but there you have it.
Without the crown and knowing Fuchsia has it, I'd be a little more inclined to call lead for Fuchsia right now. Interesting, though, that Fuchsia came all the way back to grind the Agamas. With the airship, that would not have been my first choice.
Yeah, that is interesting. I thought Fuchsia came here to make Carrie disappear. We'll see.
Oh, okay, looks like that is the case, actually. I just saw Agama and was thinking Agama, but it was a random encounter Agama.
Ha! That is a rare and beautiful thing. The wild Agama spotted outside of its native habitat in that room by the chests, and the other room by the candles.
Yeah, there's 4 trap tiles with Agamas on them. So usually when you see an Agama encounter, it's on those. Zara has just found the floater. He's about to find a lot of stuff and saying, "Why didn't I come here first?"
Yeah, at this point he'll realize he's a little bit behind, but he did do some good grinding and has some levels, so there's lots of opportunity for him to catch up.
This is true. He's also 3-manning it, which is going to be a little bit more and a little bit safer strategy. So if he's got levels on 2 black belts and Temple of Fiends is a little bit on the crazy side, that there is potential there for his play to work out.
Yeah, Sar versus Artea is almost a classic, very fast and lean versus much more grindy and conservative and reliable. And I love to see that matchup, especially when it turns out to be a close one later on or a really hard TOFR where Sar can make like a come from behind victory like that. I think those are the most interesting races for me to cover. But we'll see if that works out tonight. And even though he went to the ice cave and didn't find anything that he needed particularly badly, all those levels he gained might allow him to breeze through this a little quicker than everyone else did. So it's not over yet, even if he is behind by a good bit.
So my theme of the day seems to be saying something wrong and then being right. I just said it too soon. So Fuchsia is doing an Agama. And having to come back to beat Carrie, it makes a little more sense. It's just for experience, this would not be my first choice.
Yeah.
Not when you've already got the airship.
No, I agree with you. The Agamas are actually not that worth that much relative to how hard these ones are in particular. Now, I mean, you're one-shot them now, so hard is a relative term. But the EXP you gained is not the best.
Yeah, and Artea already showed us how easy the Blue Dragon is. That, of course, is not information that Fuchsia has. But the information you do have is that Sky Castle is worth more experience than Volcano.
Yeah, almost every single encounter. And some of them are not as hard as they look, and some of them can be real deadly. That Great Naga had a ton of health.
Question in chat, why not the Red Dragon if you can one-shot them? We saw them earlier, and I believe Fuchsia did check them. Found them to be a very high evasion enemy, so that's going to steer you away from there, even if you're strong enough to punch it out. If it's going to take 2 or 3 rounds to land your punch, then that's not going to be worthwhile. Because most one-round encounters are going to outpace even better experienced fights that take you 2 or 3 rounds, just in terms of speed.
Sforzondo lighting the first orb on stream. Hey, remember when he wiped without having saved and had to start over and rename all his characters, and that's why they're ABCD?
Well, there you go. Never give up on things. You don't know.
There's the Sun Sword. Decent find. It's the best weapon your Red Mage is going to get his hands on, short of the Masamune.
Zeus Gauntlet found as well, although I don't think he actually picked it up. I think he had full inventory and didn't get it.
And with the weapons fixed in the randomizer, it does, in fact, do extra damage to undead.
There's quite a fair number of undead in this game as well. Guards and sentries usually on the sentries are usually good experience, sometimes a little tanky, and that looks to be the case here. They survived a nuke. But still, 2,600 experience for that, so you're talking almost double the Agamas.
He just says no to those man-cats and Medusas.
Oh, there's our ribbon. Second ribbon, so that is good news for Artea.
He's got just about everything you could want now except for the power gauntlet.
And the crown, of course.
Well, sure.
But you're talking about optional equipment. So it's interesting because if you need ribbons, even in Go mode, the first two floors here are probably the places you would look for, or at least be high on the list. So most runners would probably pick up a ribbon unless they just decide they don't need it. And then that room is a great Go mode room where you can check 4 treasure chests really easy. So you could potentially pick up those 2 ribbons even in Go mode.
Yeah, that second room, that 4 chest room, is like notoriously you always check that room. It's like 5 steps out of the way. You got to be in a real hurry to not check that room.
Yeah, and when you talk about odds, well, realistically, the odds are infinitely better than if you check no chests. So even if it's a 4 in 100 chance that you're going to find, not 4 in 100. Well, yeah, let's say 4 in 100 chance that you're going to find a ribbon. Well, that's infinitely better than 0 out of 0.
Yeah, that sounds like the math holds up to me.
Or 0 out of 100 even, whichever way you prefer to look at it. We got a war mech!
Hey, check that out. War mech hype!
We didn't even have to root for it. Chat, you failed us by not rooting for war mech, but Artea found it anyways. Looks like he's going to test this out, and that apparently is a high absorb war mech.
He's out of
nukes. Out of nukes.
Oh, man. Is he seriously going to take this thing on? Like, that is bravery to the point of foolhardiness. He's done so much treasure finding and grinding in here. And he's putting it all on the line for pride.
It is a ton of experience to kill this war mech. The other big thing about it is it's in the boss pool. So the Fiends Revisited plus war mech. And if you find out what this war mech is made of, which looks like nothing...
Oh, he's got a lot of evade, but the war mech has a lot of absorb.
We've seen no skills, no spells out of this war mech. This many turns in means he probably has none. So now you've got a pretty good idea of what's waiting for you in Temple of Fiends.
That black belt's dancing, man. The white shirts, and he's got his dancing sword. Yeah.
Just not a lot else he can do. He can try and run, but generally punching's going to feel like a better strategy than trying to run. And he got it!
Oh, what a
Watch
win.
this experience here.
Oh,
1,
yeah. Level 31,
2,
level 32. Level 33.
3 levels.
Okay. One Punch Man gets the job done, and that's ridiculous that he was at level 30. If he was 2 levels higher, that fight would have been 1,000 times easier. What a great win for Artea against that war mech there.
That was the very hype battles. Forsando, by the way, is on the mermaid floor, so about to get the crown. And this is going to be pretty...
from the golems. That's great.
Yeah, this is going to be a pretty safe rest of the way, I think, at level 32. The Nachos are pretty good experience, so that's going to lean him towards taking this fight because he can do it in 2 shots.
Yeah, that's pretty hilarious.
But getting by Tiamat shouldn't be that bad.
That grind gave him the 3 levels that really are going to make this Tiamat fight so much safer.
And that honestly was probably a big factor in why he was taking that fight to begin with. Was getting the levels. And I don't think
the
it's
ribbons.
a trivial piece of information to know that Warmech had no skills or spells. Fire Orb is lit for Czar. He's going to be our last runner to get the airship, but he is also going to have the benefit of a lot more levels than the rest of the runners had at this point.
And Artea gets the job done against Tiamat, and he'll light his first orb, which is, ironically, the last one. It's not really ironic, but I'm sticking with it.
You're doing the last first? That's pretty ironic.
Sure. All right.
And he gets a sandworm. That's a great encounter.
Yeah. He's still got to be tilting from that amazing hero fight against the War Mech. Positive tilting, the good kind.
You know, what's interesting is he might even just leave the Red Wizard down right now. Well, not if he's going to do Sea Shrine. I was wondering if he might take the solo black belt to Volcano and Earth and just get some experience from those with the one black belt, then do the party for Sea Shrine.
Huh. Ankleo didn't want to go down in 5 shots. Gives him what for him, but just a passing nuisance.
Well, you know, they're about 80% shell.
And a warm, chewy nougat on the inside.
No, just more shell.
Just crack it open and there's just another shell inside.
Yes. They're 80% shell and 20% space in between shell.
Now I understand. See, I'm not one of those entomologists.
All right, level 40 now for Fuchsia, so getting the levels here against these Agamos. And he will definitely be done getting experience from here for that main one. Then it becomes a question of who do you revive? And I personally like the idea, if I've already got the 42 black belt that early, I'm going to go ahead and revive at least one more black belt and try and get him to 21 plus before Temple of Fiends. Now, how many runners will do my strategy? Probably none. Sforzando is taking an interesting fight here because it has that water, so you start to get an idea how many hit points they have before you get to Temple of Fiends, and do they have anything nasty you want to watch out for?
Yeah, it doesn't look too bad. And he's also making the play to go straight to Mermaids.
2 hits. He actually already did Mermaids. He's got the crown. He's going to Kraken.
Is that right? Was I? Who are we talking about here?
The crown. He's going to Kraken now.
We're both talking about the same person.
Sforzando?
Aha! See, there's your problem. I was back on Artea. Now I understand.
Okay. Was Artea fighting a water at the time?
He may have been.
Right. That could cause confusion. Fuchsia, by the way, is doing the Crown Quest now.
This is always nice. You get a ton of treasure chests nice and easy if you're willing to take the time to just cruise around and pick them up. Being in go mode.
Throw off the table, he can still find the Power Gauntlet and another.
Absolutely. Yeah, Sar looks like he's heading down to get promoted. See, he's got a bunch of levels, so this is a much more straightforward thing to do at this point.
Yeah, it's entirely understandable. And really the only reason you will upgrade in round is because there are spells you want for Red Wizard. Because in terms of the Black Belts, you're better off if you never class change. In terms of weapons, Masamune is going to be number 1 and that doesn't care. Sunsword is going to be number 2 and that doesn't care. So
here, all of the armor doesn't care. The Pro Ring, the Ribbon, the Opal Bracelet, all of those you can equip unpromoted. So it's really
the
just
only
for
reason to take the time to class change is because there is a Red Wizard spell you want.
Yeah. It's got to be worth taking the minute it takes to walk down there. You can warp out, so it hardly takes any time. It's really 1 minute. Howdy, old trolley dragon getting in the way. You know, there's a lot of code in the randomizer that affixes some enemies in place so they don't move around and annoy you, but we just can't bring ourselves to do that to those dragons. They're, how annoying they are, it's just part of the game.
Well, hey, there's a point in which things just gotta stick with the vanilla.
Meridian in chat pointing out that Red Wizards can equip a whole bunch more gauntlets, though, which as a kid I was super excited about because I had no idea that the Pro Ring was as good as it was.
Yeah, I think I used to equip Zeus Gauntlet on the Red Wizard. And it looks like Fuchsia is going to go for some magic. As for runners off stream, I think we've got the 4 up right now who are furthest along, so... People in various places. Len is in Volcano. Zarnex, I think, is in Ordeals. No, he's in Sky Castle, I apologize. Zanup just turned in the Ruby. I'm not sure he's got the floater yet.
Oh, that would be a tragedy. Sar turns in his Ruby, too, just validating his run.
That can also make a difference for inventory spacing. Sometimes you want to get rid of an item for that.
Yeah.
If it puts heals in the first column, it's worth it.
Oh, yeah. The inventory in this game is completely fixed. You can't do any organization on your own. Everything is just sorted by the item IDs. So the heals, pures, and softs are always going to be the last 3. And if you have a multiple of 3 items, or depending on the circumstances, that doesn't really work out. But you want the heals to be in the leftmost column so you can access them just by pressing up once on the D-pad when you go into the item screen. It saves yourself a lot of time when you're dishing out the heals in TOFR.
Yeah, to put this into context, I've sat outside of Temple of Fiends Revisited, and I have burned off 20 tents or cabins just to put heals in the first column.
Yeah, and that will happen if you have a multiple of 3 items before them. So some combination of tents, cabins, houses, and all the other single key items has to be a multiple of 3.
Yeah, you can also go buy one of those if you don't have them in order to line it up the right way, and that is something that's going to be worthwhile. Did Zar just sell the opal bracelet? Tell me he didn't just sell the opal bracelet.
I don't think he sold the opal bracelet.
He's selling silver bracelets.
Why would you want an opal bracelet when you can buy a gold bracelet? No, he's still got it.
Where is it?
It's equipped on his second black belt, as a matter of fact. Or his lead black belt, I believe.
It looks like Len has decided to drop out of the race. I am guessing that's because of a wipe to carry on a lag. Yeah, that's what happened. He took a wipe to carry, and when you do that... Where are we? An hour, 11 minutes into the race, you can understand why. That's a lot of progress lost.
Yeah.
Zarnex is in the ice cave. Zalnup looks like heading towards the earth. Salty is also heading to the earth cave.
Sforzando's in earth gives what might be our first taste of wizards, and nukes them up.
Nuke is usually a good strategy against wizards. Nice and non-elemental, so they have no resistance to it.
Yeah. Wizards resist fire and ice, so if you have lit, it's a nice choice, but nothing's going to do better than nuke.
Possibly Fade with good rolls. Not 100% though. Fuchsia getting some vampires to kill.
And Sforzando getting a vampire to kill. The vampire.
No, he's just A. He doesn't earn the title the.
No?
That's just him bragging. He's trying to claim he's the. He's only
the
A.
Vampire. Yeah, he really is just a vampire.
Yeah. He's just arrogant. He's trying to self-promote himself a little. It's like talking in third person.
He was standing around there for God knows how long until Sforzando just showed up and executed him right on the spot. So he really shouldn't have been calling too much attention to himself.
Artea also showing us another good experience fight with those big eyes. Edgeworth likes to call them the EXP Pinatas. They're a very high experience encounter.
Artea ready to take on Kraken.
And this is our first look at Kraken, I think.
It was a quick
Kraken.
one. Yeah.
And
so I guess
yeah.
So far the story of this, we talked a lot about various grinding spots. I'm gonna say the War Mech grind was really the grind that you wanted.
Clearly. Okay, I'm just gonna say this right now. Artea, if you don't go to the volcano, I will be extremely disappointed in you. Because he's got the reverse order work.
Right.
He defeated Diamant first, he did Kraken second. I want to see Carrie third.
You're not gonna get it.
I think he's doing that just to trigger me.
Is it working?
Yes. Meanwhile, Fuchsia is working through Sky Castle Mirage Tower now. Clearing off the guards and sentries. Little tanky, but very good experience. About to walk up to the ribbon room.
Yeah. No matter
These
how
four
Komodo
will
you're in.
definitely pay off.
There it is.
Only got the one, so didn't check the, I think that was on the second floor that we saw the other ribbon. Sforzando gets the Earth Orb restored, and onward! Artea reaches the vampire floor, where we find out how much the bats are going to troll today. Except for I shouldn't insult trolls like that.
Little edge to Artea. He's a few steps ahead of Sforzando and has one. Oh, he's got fire to do after Earth here, so this is a pretty close race.
You can go to fire first.
Right. This is a pretty good race here. We'll see how Sforzando fares in Mirage and Sky Castle.
Also, how many chests does he check for ribbons? If he's checking the first floor, he might possibly check that second floor. And if you're going to be checking these floors, you're certainly going to check those 4 at the end, so that could give him both ribbons. We know there's one more in the world, we don't know where.
Yeah, if he finds the first one here on one of the first 2 floors, he might say, oh, that's pretty good. Let's pick up the pace here and get to Tiamat. And then I could see him finding the second one for sure, no matter what happens before that.
And Fuchsia is up to the Tiamat fight. No Warmech, run invalid.
Mm-hmm. No problem. Tiamat. Fuchsia lights the second orb.
No problem with levels either. Very high level for Fuchsia, which once that black belt is 42, I don't want to beat the point too much, but I just think you're much better served by bringing up another black belt and getting whatever levels you can get, and just having that little bonus damage in Temple of Fiends Revisited.
Yeah, after level 42, it's pretty much big time diminishing returns for the last few levels. You're not going to gain much, but bringing another black up, if they can get into the high 20s, into the 30s, all of a sudden they're going to be contributing.
On the other side, I will say, though, that you're also funneling experience into the Red Wizard at this point, which means more HP, more magic defense, more good stuff there, so that to me is more of the counterpoint than putting levels on the black belt after 42. Artea to Lich. Goodbye, Lich.
Yeah, that wasn't going to be much of a challenge.
Yeah, even if he opened up with Nuke, I don't think that really would have been in doubt. Now Artea going to do the crown fetch quest. You have to change the crown for the crystal for the herb for the key, and the key is what allows you to the game.
Do you think he's going to rummage through any of the key chests for the power bonk, or do you think he thinks he's good to go?
I was a little surprised we didn't see Fuchsia check them in Elfland, but I think with 2 ribbons, you're probably going to roll with it, especially the higher level your black belt is. 42 black belt is probably going to be aided a lot more by fast than the power gauntlet. And also worth mentioning that in this stage, we're only up to 220% stats. Now that can there'll be quite a bit of evasion and absorb, but you'd have to be talking more like 250% before you'd be looking at really, really horrible. Potentially, that is. So Artea now marching through the volcano, walking on as much lava as possible. Don't try that at home. Well, actually, you could try it in Final Fantasy 1. I meant don't try walking on real lava. A lot. That wouldn't be advisable.
And Artea just finishes demonstrating why coming to the volcano later is no big deal. You can blow through that place when you really want to.
Sforzando finishing up the Sky Castle. Thank you, chat. That's a great line. If you have lava, additional, or you're a super villain. Yeah, well, whatever. So Zar's on Team Stake, and Artea has the Fire Orbs, so gonna be our first runner into Temple of Fiends. Mentioned earlier that that's a common theme for Artea, and was not the first runner to be in Go mode either, so that just shows you how well Artea has played this.
Yeah, for someone who hasn't finished a race yet in Stage 5, all of a sudden looks right back in mid-season form here.
He has played some, just hasn't necessarily completed them, and I think that was more an issue of where he was in relation to the winner. But this is one where nobody was able to get out too far away from it. Fuchsia still has to do Kraken, obviously, and I'm guessing the other one is Lich.
And Sforzando finds a ribbon you know he was looking for.
Is that ribbon number 2?
That appears to only be ribbon number 1.
Okay, so he only checked the first floor and didn't check the second here.
His leading black belt will have to make do with a cap.
Well, I mean, if you can't give him a hat, he can at least have a cap.
It's just as good as the ribbon is in terms of absorb and evade penalty. It just lacks the, resistance to all elements that you get from the ribbon.
Well, so Rosado will be our second chance to see Warmack tonight. If you weren't with us earlier, Artea fought one, just barely scraped by with the one black belt, not doing very much damage, and was able to survive and get 3 levels off of it.
If that Warmack had any magic or skills, besides just that basic attack, that he finally got off enough defense swords and invis 2s to evade like 8 or 9 or 10 times, that was so close. And he came out on top, gained 3 levels, and it's been a cruise ever since for him.
And I mentioned this in passing, that Warmack shares the same pool of skills and spells as Chaos and the 4 Fiends Revisited. So because we know that or at least we're fairly certain that Warmack didn't have any of that, because otherwise that would have been insane RNG, that means we're looking at some pretty stacked pools of bad stuff being available for Temple of Fiends Revisited. So, for example, Nuke and 4 Nuclears are in the pool. And any given one of the Fiends might have it.
Yeah, the skills and the spells are shuffled as opposed to being truly randomized. They're dealt out like a deck of cards. So somebody has to hold the cards, and we know the Warmack didn't. So you can imagine that of the Fiends, somebody's got to have those skills.
Yeah, now if you're talking about Chaos with 4,000 hit points, high evade, and 3 Nuclears, that could be a really bad day. And Zar, I believe, just found his ribbon on the 2nd floor. So good chance he'll be able to get 2 ribbons out of here, and we'll see how much that comes into play.
Artea brings back the rest of his crew for some extra distractions.
Yeah, he got some early levels and then he left to save the experience and heal up. So it's interesting to see him do that. Temple of Fiends Revisited is one of the best places for experience.
Yeah, I thought he was going to try and dump some of his equipment to shuffle his heal all the way over to the far left, but he wasn't able to do that because he didn't have anything more consumable. And Sforzando takes out Tiamat and lights his last orb, so I'll put him into the TOFR camp. I'm not sure if he's completed the crown quest and got the key yet.
Don't think he has. Now, also worth noting, his levels are higher. Will be going in to Temple of Fiends Revisited, so there's a chance of that. Question in chat about what's going on. Artea doesn't have a huge lead. He definitely has one. But Sforzando will be getting there pretty soon, and Fuchsia should also be getting there pretty soon.
Yeah, if you're wondering how Artea got the lead that he does have, he found the slab very early, turned it in, and snuck his way into the Mirage Tower, and kind of just tiptoed around at first, collected some levels, and then rapidly leveled up in the Mirage Tower by way of largely nuking and so forth. And then on the Bridge of Destiny, stumbled into a war mech and was able to actually take it down by using the white shirt and the defense sword enough times that he was able to beat it down with his black belt, who gained several levels. That's kind of how he did the rapid grind.
Basically, what we've seen out of Artea in this seed is exactly what he's kind of advocated for, which is don't stop at the Agamas or the Eye and do a lot of grinding early on when there's better experience that you can take in these fights later. He's taken the experience in the other fights and been able to get his levels that way faster than anybody else has.
And before
And
we
he's
say
also
it was,
Artea and executes the game at a very high level.
and he did get a little bit lucky with that war mech fight. I mean, there's no denying that. So luck always plays a little bit of a part, and that time it really helped him.
Yeah, now when you say that, he was under 100 hit points, so one more good hit from the war mech was going to wipe him out. He was going to have to re-clear for those 2 ribbons in Mirage Tower.
He came within a single hit of losing like 15 minutes.
Probably more like 8. Because he would have known exactly which treasure chests to go to.
Okay. 8 minutes.
I didn't want to say 5, because it would take a while to walk back. Czar taking advantage of these blue dragons. That was another thing that Artea took a little bit of advantage of. He did a couple of these blue dragons. Now
Yeah.
Fuchsia is in Temple of Fiends Revisited as well.
Yeah, I predicted Tsar might grind the blue dragons. I've seen him do it before, and I know he likes that battle.
And it looks like Sforzando is gonna check for more. And I don't think he got all of the treasures out of Sky Castle that Artea did by not being... Artea was not in go mode, so he was checking more treasure chests, and that paid off with finding defense and white shirt and 2 ribbons. Black shirt's not going to be as valuable at this point, but it's still got value.
The pro cape's alright too.
Protect your red mage with the cape the professionals use. Order now. Our other runners that are off stream are just in various locations and not really close to Temple of Fiends at this point, so we're watching the 4 who are the furthest along. And Artea is up to the fire floor.
Nothing much in Corneria. And Sforzando, I think, has seen enough. We'll see if he checks the chest on the right or if he goes right to TFR.
So Fuchsia is not far behind, and this is interesting because if you told me one of the four runners was going to two-man the whole way, I would have picked Artea to do that, not Fuchsia.
Artea now on carry 2. Ooh. Down goes Don. But he was really just there to take a hit anyway.
Yeah, kind of that reverse psychology of leaving the strongest one in the front. That never seems to be where the Fiend's Revisited hit from.
Yeah.
And looks like Salty Fry has gone ahead and win this one. Not sure what prompted that. Maybe just a lack of finding anything by this point. Fuchsia now gets the look at Lich. And Artea's on the water floor. We don't know of anything particularly nasty with this water floor. Maybe a little high health for the waters, but nothing we've seen in the way of skills.
Got through it pretty quick. Encounter table lined up well there. Avoids any unrunnables and time wasting. Kraken starts things off with a Cure 4. It's not going to do too much.
That could be good news or bad news. Never mind, it's good news.
It's good news. It's good news when you're doing 1,000 damage in one shot in Kraken. And now we're on to Tiamat. Artea into the final throws here.
And so far we've avoided a lot of nastiness.
We got some pesky high power worms, but they missed doing any serious damage on the red mage. That's the thing you're worried about if they turn on your red mage and kill him, because no reviving him in TOFR.
Yeah, again, what would scare you the most at this point is something that was really tanky and had multiple nuclears. If Chaos has nuclear, high evade, and high hit points, that's the kind of thing that could still put this in jeopardy. Otherwise, Artea is in great shape. But Fuchsia is looking to be very close here. Let's see what we get out of this Tiamat.
So we're approaching 92-minute mark we've just passed. So this makes percentages really easy. If Artea finishes in around 100 minutes, hour 40, then you know that every minute is going to be 1% on top of that and 0.01 chaos points on top. So it does make the math easier. You want to see Fuchsia finish within 30 seconds to get a 0-0 time, if that were possible.
Well, nothing is done until it's done, but Fuchsia's on a different RNG pattern, obviously, because here he's gotten waters which Artea did not see. But it looks like Artea was on the better pattern because he's able to easily get off the air floor.
Looks like if Artea finishes, it's going to be an under.
Here we go. The battle against Chaos. You might just try and... Well, no, Power Gauntlet, so yeah, you're just going to punch right away. Of course, I'm wrong. He's going to do the defense strat.
Extra safe. At this point, a little extra discretion. And bringing back that second black belt just to use some items. Chaos with Rub's not going to do too much.
So here's our first look, 1,000 damage. So you know you're getting this Chaos pretty quick.
Yeah, this shouldn't take too long at this rate. Fire 3 is nothing to worry about. Just not the deadly chaos that anybody else needed to stop Artea.
Yeah, this was pretty much going to have to be a high evade Chaos to stop him.
And it's not, and it's over. GG Artea.
All right, and Artea's going to join us in a little bit here. We'll look forward to
speedruns live time of $1:33 and 40 seconds.
kind of curious to see his final stats. Especially if we can compare things like the battles he was in, because I'm betting the battles that Artea had was actually significantly lower. Look at this, Fuchsia is on this fight. And this is, I think, like a minute behind, so...
Yeah. My math was pretty close here. Artea finished in under 100 minutes, so... And that's over. 134...
39, that was a less than a minute finish.
that'll
So
be
if Fuchsia
very
didn't already
close.
have a 0, that would have been a point.
Yeah, a strong finish. It doesn't matter for Fuchsia. And if the situation were reversed, Artea would be at a .01, which would have been enough to annoy him. But as it stands, Artea gets to 0-0-0, and Fuchsia will keep his 0-0-0 from earlier in this stage. But a fine finish from both of those racers.
I bet if that had been reversed, the happiest person in the world would have been Show. Have some company at .01.
The most tantalizing score.
Okay, so here's Sforzando in Temple of Fiends. Zar still has a bit to finish. And I forgot to look at the stats for Artea. I said I wanted to know how many battles he had, and then I forgot to watch.
191 for Fuchsia. Struck first 23 to 15 ambushes is very good luck, actually. Ran away 46 times and no wipes that wasn't able to reset out of ahead of time.
So very close.
Damage taken. We were going to add a separate stat for War Mechs destroyed. Artea would have had one, but haven't got around to adding that stat yet.
Okay, chat telling me that Artea got 153, but then I didn't pay attention to Fuchsia's after I knew I didn't know Artea's name. So I don't know how to compare.
181 for Fuchsia.
181, so 30 less battles.
That's something, right? And he won by a minute.
Well, I mean, if you're thinking, let's call it 15 seconds a battle if it went great, average. So that's going to be a couple minutes worth at best case scenario.
See if Fuchsia will join us in chat for a post-race conversation.
Meanwhile, Sforzando is up to the Lich Revisited fight. We haven't seen, never did see any of the really nasty stuff. We found Cure 4 on Kraken. We never found the nukes or nuclear. I said that in reverse. We never found the nuclears, plural, because there's 4 of them, or nuke singular, which is only 1. A really tight finish between these two runners. They took significantly different routes to get there, but it worked out well. Didn't Fuchsia also go back and grind the Agamas?
Yeah, we were giving him a bit of flack for doing that.
Yeah, so that a little bit of choice there. If Artea doesn't save some time with better fight selection, then that's a completely different outcome.
And I mean, the story of gaining 3 levels, just narrowly taking out that War Mech. How different would this race be if he instead turns around and runs, doesn't have those 3 levels, has to spend a couple minutes grinding to make sure he gets to 32 before he takes on Tiamat? It's a different race. So just amazingly close battle there that gave him just enough of an edge to come out a minute ahead here.
And there's Nuke from Carry. Purity also making a good point that Artea had awful luck early. Yeah, I think he had 4 or 5 wipes very early on. And he was able to overcome that, in part because of where he took the wipes. Who do we have with us now? We have Artea. GG. You must be very happy right now. With or without a working mic, I bet you're still happy. Yeah, he says mic issues in the chat, so...
Yeah.
Well, if you want to type anything out, Artea, did you see the second place time yet? Because that is something I'm curious if you noticed. It ended up being a very close battle. I'm not sure you expected that. Of course, after the early wipes, that was probably something you were wondering about anyways, until you got to Chaos. Sforzando is past the Phantom.
Looking in chat, I see that Zach Noffies is new here. Say hello. Hello, Zach. Welcome to Randomania 3. I hope you're enjoying the very tail end of this Final Fantasy randomizer race. And nice of you to join us.
Yes, Sforzando did take a wipe here because he was up to carry and found Nuke there. He may have just reset if it killed his red mage instead of actually a full wipe. But I didn't see that when I was trying to work something else out, so unfortunately things slipped by. Off stream we still have Zarnex and Zalnup playing, but they're nowhere close to Temple of Fiends right now that I know of. I think Zarnex is in Sky Castle. That may be his last orb.
It looks like in all his treasure chest findings, Sforzando did pick up the legendary Masamune, which he's brandished a couple times. Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm really not sure where that was. It must have been key locked, I think. Somebody did mention that they saw the power gauntlet in the ice room with the 2 treasure chests.
The validation chests. That's funny that people have a tendency to check in those too, just for that very reason.
Well, like I said about the 4 in Sky Castle, a 4 in 100 chance is still infinitely better than a 0 chance. Well, the same thing holds true in that room. A 2 in 100 chance is a whole lot better than infinite. Fuchsia's in the chat now.
GG, Artea. Congratulations on a return to form.
Thank you, guys. Yeah, so to answer your questions, because I could actually hear you. Yeah, I saw the second time. Pretty happy to have finished first so I can finally be done with black belts.
I think I speak for many of us when I say nice luck there with the hashtag WarMech grind.
Yeah, I wasn't surprised to see WarMech. I was really surprised at how beefy he was, though.
Yeah, we were impressed at first that you decided to stick around and take him on, but then that you were just hanging on by your fingernails. That was a tight fight, and obviously the 3 levels there put you over the 32. Were you gonna grind on the Bridge of Destiny to get to 32 one way or the other?
I was aiming for the WarMech.
No kidding.
Yep.
I wanted to ask you another question. This was just sort of an odd one. In the waterfall, after clearing the chest, you went back and stepped on the trap tile one more time, nuked everybody, and then warped out. Was that just one quick use of a leftover nuke charge? What was your plan there?
Yeah, that was pretty much it. Just trying to get as much experience in as many places as I can. That tile's not a bad yield if you get a couple of Wiz Mummies off of it. So you'll see me take a trap tile once or twice, or I did the same thing with the Blue Dragon, just getting a bit more free experience when I can.
This sort of did feel like this was the classic what Artea preaches for getting your levels from, of getting them along the way, and even going to Sky Castle first for better experience per fight.
Yeah, absolutely. Took a while to get started though. The early game wasn't very kind to me this time.
No, you paid your karma early with some nasty early luck, and then it all came back to you in the WarMech fight. So I think you balanced out just fine.
Yeah, I mean, it has a way of evening itself out over a run usually.
I do have to say I am greatly disappointed with you in one thing. You killed Tiamat first, then you did Kraken, and then I'm mad you didn't go to the volcano after that.
Why?
Do it in reverse order.
You wanted reverse order.
Well, I'm sorry, Lich is just closer to Kraken than Carrie is.
I just killed Lich because he was on the way, is the answer to your
Well,
question.
yeah, and then you have Astos that's on the way, and then you go to Volcano, then you go back to Provoca to pick it fast, and then you forget to go to Matoya and go to Elfland.
So after fighting Wormek, you had to be pretty certain he didn't have either abilities or spells. What did that information make you think about Temple of Fiends?
Not much, honestly. The only thing in Temple of Fiends that I'm worried about is slow 2. Because, I mean, this is Black Belt percent, so throw XP at the Black Belt and just punch things and win. So, I mean, I'm not scared of a nuke, because the Red Mage has over 400 HP, so that's not an issue. The Black Belt has 60 bajillion HP, so that's not an issue either. Picked up the ribbons in Sky Castle, so I wasn't worried about Bane or Zap or anything like that.
I see in chat that Fuchsia Fantasy is new here. Says hello. Nice of you to join us in chat, Fuchsia Fantasy. I hope you enjoyed this Stage 5 Final Fantasy Randomizer race that you participated in and finished strongly in second. Just a minute behind Artea.
And Zargit's Wormek.
Apparently,
You,
Warmechs are all the rage this time.
Yeah. Artea, we also saw you on a different encounter rate than Fuchsia had. Did you power cycle or not power cycle for Temple of Fiends?
For Temple of Fiends, I didn't.
Okay, so I'm guessing Fuchsia did, because notably I saw him get a water encounter that you did not.
I had last power cycle, I think, was a bit before Earth, which set me up for Volcano, which was basically a free ride with 2 encounters. And then I took a couple just to level up the dead black belts, so they'd be able to run and take a hit.
Yeah, you got a
By
couple
the way, it
turns
was
out of
Carrie who rolled with the nuke, if you were curious about. So I think that's what caused Forsando to take a wipe here his first time through. He's working through the water floor now, as Zar is up to Tiamat.
Oh, well, looking at as for Zondo, the waters aren't really anything to be worried about.
Yeah, they had high HP, they weren't really doing anything, though.
Part of Tiamat looks like the vanilla colors, and the part on the left looks like it was dunked in the acid level of Mortal Kombat.
So instead of 4 Agamas duct taped together, it must be a Soria with an iguana.
Sure, why not? But 4 of them, right? You know, 1 for each head. So, Artea, you've been looking forward to putting up the zeros so that you could not have to deal with black belts anymore, but what do you think going forward to the next round?
Which one's the next round? Fighters with White Mage, yeah?
Yes, and it's actually 3 white mages and 1 fighter.
Yeah, that's fine. I mean, it's a fighter, so nothing's ever gonna die.
Apparently Kraken had crack. For whatever that's worth.
How liable are you to keep all 3 white mages around, or what's the magic number? Does it depend on something like Fade or Care 4, Life 2?
Never gonna happen.
What are the... Never?
Never.
So, how many are going to stick around?
The debate is between 2 and 1, depending on what's available. Probably gonna be 2, because with absolutely no damage output, I'm probably gonna need the healing in Fog and in Fist charges. Just the casts each round, because Fighter deals decent damage, but just having 1 character capable of dealing damage is not gonna be enough for a 2-man party.
Would level 1 Fade change your opinion any?
Yeah, I was just going to ask that. So, like, do you get him even a few levels for TOFR if you got level 1 Fade, or are you just dead the whole time?
Definitely 1 dead the whole time. You need the experience more than you need the Fade.
And then just like a revival right before the TOFR when you're no longer grinding.
Oh, absolutely. But the thing is, Fade isn't particularly good against bosses. Like the damage rates on it is pretty terrible once you factor in the fact that pretty much everything in Temple of Fiends is going to resist it. So you're down
Yeah.
to what, around
80 to 160. I think it's 80 to 160.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not even. It's nothing special, but I mean, I guess it's something better than being dead.
Well,
But it's hard.
it's not gonna one round a boss, so you're gonna need to fog up or invis up or something, just to survive long enough to take down bosses.
On the other hand, if those two, like Fog 2 and Invis 2, are level 1, you can keep that chump around to fire those off until they're dead.
Oh, well, I mean, if it's level 1, you just raise them up before a boss, and whether you're level 1 or level 40, spell is a spell. It doesn't matter.
Alright, here we go with Sforzando against Chaos. We didn't see too much out of this Chaos. Any of the 3 encounters, we just didn't see a lot out of him. I think he used Ice 2 at one point. Maybe Ice 3.
Yeah, everybody's been rolling over him pretty easy.
And there it goes for Sforzando.
I think that was the quickest one yet.
I think that's still going to be a points-wise improvement for Sforzando in this round. He is one of those who has very diligently practiced these rounds, trying to improve his play. We will see in a moment if he's going to be able to join us. We do that. Mention that this is just the start for Czar. He's actually doing a marathon stream. So you can see a lot of him if you're so inclined. Our next scheduled race is going to be Friday, March 9th at 7 p.m. Stay tuned to the Discord for more information about when and where you watch that.
Sforzando with 180 battles, just one away from Fuchsia, 18 ambushes, 19 struck first. Comparing to Artea, he was closer to 150, right, with only 6 ambushes. So is it avoiding places where you're getting ambushed? Or is it just good RNG?
It's mostly just avoiding fights. Ambush is mostly luck. Your stats kind of affect it. It's based off of your agility and your luck stat. So if you have a higher level character, when you go to places with particularly high ambush rates, you're usually going to avoid more of them.
Yeah, having the higher levels early, going back to the places that are liable to ambush you is going to result in less ambushes. So that obviously contributed to the low number.
So GG's Sforzando may not have felt the best, but then again, you got nuked, and you were the only one to see that out of Carrie.
Yeah, having the higher levels.
I really felt like I was hanging in there too. Just knowing the mistakes that I made and seeing the time, I was like, yeah, here's, like, my problem is I think I committed to a grind when I should have just let the levels come naturally, and kind of what I did after basically 25, and should have just let those come naturally from the start. And I think that's where I got hung up.
That's probably the most defining difference of what the Artea did differently in this seed. That, and because of the location of the items, he was able to go to Mirage Tower, and that was the first dungeon he finished.
Yeah, very early grind with, taking advantage of Nuke and some of the high EXP enemies early in Mirage to jump his levels up, and then kind of working his way backwards through the game. Ended up only edging out Fuchsia by a single minute, so it wasn't like a blowout by any stretch, but just enough to get the lead.
Yeah, I was really hoping, like, I was checking for Tyros at 1, and I had that realization right as I started the Agama grind. I'm like, I'm going to take this to 25 and just kill everything between here and there. And, Unfortunately, we got hung up in some areas, but in the end, it worked out. I definitely did not take carry too seriously.
Well, we are going to start to bring our time here to a close. I'll start with you, Artea. Any final thoughts?
No. Well, I'm really happy to be done with this round because everybody knows my stance on black belts.
Are we going to see you playing any defense, or are you going to check out until stage 6?
I am absolutely checking out until stage 6. The only two people I need to block anymore are Tristal and Nochi anyway. They both already clocked in their first place finish. So I'm just gonna take it easy and avoid playing with a party I really, really don't like.
Honesty from Artea. Sforzando.
Still on the grind horse. I'm gonna find out in the next 3 races whether or not I can clear this.
If I do some back of the envelope math, so 133.40 and 150.27, your score is going to be very close to your current 0.2.
Yeah, and that's kind of why I'm disappointed.
Yeah, it was just a little bit of time at the end too. It's too bad, but there's still time to bounce back, and hoping for you in the last couple of races.
All right, Artea, thank you for joining us. For Zondo, good luck with the rest of the round. We're going to be hosting up Czar here in a minute as he continues to finish this out, and this is the start of a marathon stream for him. So if you feel like an insomniac tonight, feel free to show Czar's stream some love. Anything from you, Nets?
Oh, always a pleasure. I just want to thank Randomania 3 for hosting us. I'd like to thank our restreamer, J.K. Allen, and our tracker, Zangrief. You guys do a great job. Make us look good up here. And it's always a pleasure. Give everybody a follow if you're interested in FFR. You can join our Discord. Very friendly community that I only joined a few months ago and already feel like part of the family. So always having a great time. Thanks, Trenton.
All right, thanks again to Randomania, all the people who helped make this happen, and all of you who joined us this evening. Hope you enjoyed the show tonight, and hope you have a great rest of your evening. Good night, everybody.
Good night.